Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers! Welcome back to The Flash, Season 1, Episode 7, Power Outage. I'm your host, Roxy Striar, alongside Tauri Miller.
Hey, hey!
Ashley Daniels.
Hi!
And we are so sorry that this is a few days late. Happy holidays to everybody. We hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving. And we are unbelievably excited that you guys requested us to do this show, even though it was after the weekend. You guys wanted to see it. So here we are with David Bowie's version of Hero. Thank you, Ashley Daniels, for this week's pick.
You're very welcome.
Good job.
You're just
call
brilliant.
a little bit of Google. Google that Heroes, and that's what came up.
I love it. I love
Take the
it.
credit.
You guys remember at home to keep posting your hero songs that you want us to start with. I think we should open it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be called Heroes anymore, as long as it's about the hero genre.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Saving others.
Yeah.
Like other, yeah.
Oh,
Is that
good. No, absolutely. Like Save Me. There's a song.
Yeah, like let's use the word save as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
So we've opened it up a little bit. Guys, I have to say, the biggest bummer was not watching this episode with you guys, because I feel like it enhances it so much, but I did watch it enough times. I thought this was one of the best episodes of the season.
I agree.
And a lot of people have said that too, that I talked to that love The Flash. They said this is one of their favorites since the first one.
Absolutely. And what's actually cool about the fact that we are doing this a little later is that I went and got to watch. We support all the other after shows or all the other podcasts that are talking about the Flash, because we're Flash fans, so we love to hear like the Flash podcast, everything.
Yeah.
And so I actually got to listen to all their opinions on the show before we're taping now, and I feel like everybody is saying they want to criticize the show, but they can't because it's so good.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. So congrats to CW on another hit. It's not just a fluke. We are 7 episodes in, so we know it's going to be good all season.
Yeah, has everything you want.
Exactly. Okay, let's get right into, I was going to say tonight's episode, last week's episode, and just so you guys know, we will be doing tomorrow's episode tomorrow. Yeah. So there will be no more delays. All right. So what we call our Scooby Gang and Barry are back together, but the leader of the pack, Wells, has a few secrets, and we're learning more and more about him, and the more we learn, the less we actually know. And we're introduced to another character tonight, Gideon. So Gideon is Wells' computer person who is, I guess, like his diary, kind of, holding all of the entries. This was a really interesting twist. We've seen the newspaper article. We know that he is either from the future or is able to receive things from the future. But now this brings it to a whole new level. What did you guys think about Gideon, and where do you think we're going to go with that duo? Can we call them a duo?
Yeah, we could call them a duo. Like, if you can qualify Iron Man and Jarvis to be a duo, then you could definitely throw them in. I thought that it was really cool just having this computer that can see all the different timelines, or at least it can see into the future and adjust for what's there and what isn't. So like when we see that the Flash loses his power, you see that all of his influence is gone, and it can kind of predict that and do checks and balances in that way.
Why is Wells making all of these entries? It seemed like when we saw the quick flash of, pun intended, of all of the entries, there was a bunch of them for every single day since the particle accelerator, if not from before that. Why is he writing everything down? This isn't just like a Dear Diary, woke up, ate breakfast, went on a run. This is like all about the Flash. So why do we think that he's doing this?
I feel like it's because in this moment now, this is shaping everything that's going to happen for the future. And it's very important that whatever is going on with Barry right now is documented, so that when he does go back to the future, which I think he's going to do, when I say him, I mean Wells, I think he's going to need to use anything from the present moment that he's in to help him when he's in the future. So it's very important that whatever's going on right now in the present is documented, is something that he can refer back to if necessary.
Right.
Do you guys think that, or at least for me, it made me feel like Wells knows less than I thought he knew, because he's having to ask this computer what's going on. So if he was from the future and he's seen the future, then why would he be so concerned about what's going to happen if he supposedly already knew what was going to happen?
Well, the events that are happening essentially changed everything.
Right.
So, I mean, and him being a scientist, it's like checking your results from an experiment, and if, say that an anomaly took place, then you have to go and back and recheck your graphs and all that stuff.
But why was this an anomaly? Why didn't this happen in the version of the future that he thought was going to happen? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But because if the particle accelerator was going to explode anyway, or the incident took place, then wouldn't this exact process had taken place already?
Well, it kind of harkens back to something we had mentioned, I think, last episode, where he could just be someone who is trying to keep the future on track. Like,
right.
Everything is essentially meant to happen. He's just kind of tapping it where it needs to be, but he doesn't have all the information. He's just going off of the little pieces he's getting from the future.
Agreed. And I think that whatever's going on in the future, I wrote this down too. I felt like in those moments that he was talking to Gideon that there is something beyond Gideon that he is working with. I feel like there's somebody in the future that is working with him. And they are working on what you just said, basically keeping everything balanced, keeping everything how it's supposed to be going from this point on.
But it's not himself that he's working with? It's not him in the future? It's
I don't know. I don't think it is. I feel like I wrote down that part of me thought that it was the Reverse Flash, just because we always talk about that, but we also say he could be Professor Zoom. Right, but I also wrote Professor Zoom that I thought, or and there was another one. Right. Well, right, but Professor Zoom is Reverse Flash, right? Yeah.
Which would be saying similar.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I also wrote down somebody else that I don't know a lot about, but I wrote down because I thought maybe you could explain it. I was reading that some fans were saying maybe he's Libra. And Libra is part of the comic world that I guess I think he's about balance as well. And they were saying that there were some people that were like really like the diehard fans that were talking about Libra. I don't know if you know anything about that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Just brought,
well,
okay.
I think that it's interesting. So I did want to check in with you guys, Ash, and you just started going there, which is perfect. Where you guys are at with, because every week we have to know, what are you thinking Wells actually is? So now you thought Wells was a version of the Flash, and now you're switching a little bit to thinking he might be Reverse Flash, or might be another DCU character that we haven't even thought of yet.
Whether he is the Reverse Flash or not, I don't know. Obviously, I'm always going back and forth.
I feel like you have all the answers.
But I feel like Reverse Flash might be working with him.
Okay.
And he's from the future, and then there.
So you get more of a villain vibe from him than a hero or anti-hero?
I don't get more of a villain. I'm completely neutral with it. I don't know. I really don't know.
Tauri, what are you thinking?
I feel like he's more of a middle neutral moving into being a villain. Like there's a chance, especially with what we see at the end, that like he starts out in a more like he doesn't like people, but then he goes crazy trying to replicate or do something with the Flash's power. And so I feel like right now, as he stands, he's chaotic neutral if we're going D&D standards. And then he'll move into more chaotic evil.
Let's go through his process tonight a little bit, because I kind of felt like even though we had two big bads of the week almost, it was really Wells' story. Last week we hear about... we learn more about his history with his wife and the car accident and the tragedy. And this week, I felt like we witnessed him really have character growth and development by the end, which we'll get to what he finally does. But he is at his place, and this guy, Farouk, who we saw earlier in a flashback during Particle Accelerator, he was with his friends, like any of us would have been, and they're all drinking and they're watching from afar. Like, it was a big event that was going to happen. Obviously never thinking that anything like this would take place. And he becomes Blackout. And which was an unbelievable. I thought that they did such a good job again with the special effects and taping it, and me feeling like so panicky watching him up there. I felt like the Jewish grandmother that I am. I was like, "Get down from there, honey! You're gonna hurt yourself." but he doesn't. No, nobody's listening to Roxy. And, you know, I liked this big bad. I thought that it was really, really strong. It was different. And he was he was more in the middle than other people. So, you know, we saw Plastique, who was very good, and Barry was able to talk her out of things. Then we've seen big bads that were awful, and there was no talking into them. There were moments tonight, though, where I felt like Farouk or Blackout was going to go and side with Barry. Do you guys feel like he was all bad, or do you think maybe there was a chance he was going to change his mind at some point?
I felt like he was more of a wild dog. Like, I never felt like he could be reasoned with, because he was so fixated on Wells being the blame for his friend's death, which, I mean, technically Wells isn't to blame, and nor is he. It was just a freak accident.
Right.
But, I mean...
But he does blame him. He does.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. Ash, did you at any point, were you looking at him thinking maybe he's going to be good like Plastique was, or were you always thinking, uh-oh, this is bad?
I always thought it was bad, similar to what you said. I didn't think that it was like he just decided to target Barry Allen, the Flash, or anybody in particular. It was just
he don't go after him.
Right. It was just that he happened to, like, it doesn't matter who's there. He needs to get fed. So it didn't matter to him who it was. It wasn't as significant as somebody that's just there to kill somebody certain, and they were just there for a specific reason.
You bring up a good point, and I forgot to mention this earlier. So this was the case of wrong place, wrong time for Barry Allen tonight, and in all other versions of this, like we saw at the beginning, it was hysterical because, you know, like at the coffee shop, and he runs in, he gets everybody's things, and he runs out, and then he gets mugged, and he's got like that really smug moment where he's like, right. I can't believe this. I can't believe of all people, you're mugging me. This is amazing. Yeah. Like, I love that. It was so cute. And then he got a little cocky, and he was running late. So this kind of knocked him down a peg. Wrong place, wrong time with Farouk meant I'm going to suck all your powers out of you, and you're no longer going to be the Flash. Do you guys think that he needed that? If Farouk hadn't come and I don't even know how to describe what he did, sucked the life out of him, right. Sucked the speed out of him, right. Do we think Barry could have gone down a bad path, similar to some metahumans that have?
I don't know if he would have ever gone down a bad path, but I think that he would have become a lot more reckless and probably endangered himself a lot more. If not himself, then his other friends, like the Scooby Gang, as we call them.
So this was a needed setback.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And I guess he didn't actually, when he removed the powers, that's why I had a question about this. They were saying that it was like he siphoned it, right?
Right.
So by doing that, I know that later on we see how he obviously gets his powers back, but is that something that he can do to every single person that has powers, or is that, because I think I may have missed that.
So when you say he, what are you talking about?
Farouk, can he siphon everybody's powers, because he's like the most powerful, like, electrical, I think it was, he has the highest source of electricity on Earth. So, like, he can do that to anybody with any powers, right? Not just...
Right. Well, I mean, it's not like a parasite or a rogue thing where he can absorb their power. He's more just taking the energy that they have in their bodies and absorbing it into himself.
Okay. But now I think it's because he used to work for the Rogues in the comic series. That's why I was thinking that it was he could take them and actually keep them for himself.
Right.
Well, it seemed to me like he couldn't outrun Barry at the end of this. So he could take them, but he couldn't put them into practice.
Right.
He just kind of stripped them, and I don't even think that's what he was trying to do. He wasn't trying to take anybody's powers. He was just hungry. He was like, feed me, Seymour.
Yeah.
Strange little Shop of Horrors reference.
That's great.
Sometimes it's just got to slip its way in there, like your Grease 2 reference. That was, a hit. You guys loved that.
Yeah.
Speaking of you guys, oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? You guys have been amazing. We already talked about how you asked us to come back. We came back for you. Can you do something for us? Please, please, please. If you have not already, go to iTunes, rate, comment, subscribe. 5 stars. We love it. The higher up on iTunes we go, the more we can keep the lights on, the more we can keep bringing you guys great after shows. So it's really, really important. Go to YouTube, comment. We read everything. We write back. All of us are very active. Jeff, too. We wish Jeff could be here tonight, but he can't do Mondays. He will be back tomorrow.
You guys are like our new best friends. Maybe just mine, especially. Like, oh, someone talk to us. I love it.
I'm obsessed. You guys have been...
You guys are so cool.
We are fans of yours as much as you guys are fans of ours. So we're really, really excited when you guys are keeping the conversation alive and always on Twitter. So just keep it going throughout the week and make sure you rate, comment, subscribe. Okay.
Yes.
Back to you guys. I just was giving my best friends a little love for a second. I guess I can.
I thought they were my best friends.
Oh.
They're all our best friends.
Okay, fine.
We don't have to fight.
Because we're the 3 best friends. Okay, anyway. So, going back to Farouk, who is not one of our best friends, we find out. You know, when he was standing outside, after he takes Barry's powers, and he's standing outside of the Star Labs, and he wants Wells to come down. I'm like, you would have to be an insane person to go down there right now. Look at his eyes. This guy's eyes were freaking crazy, like freaking me out a little bit. I almost thought because he was so human looking that, but just like strung out kind of, he was the scariest villain we had yet looks wise. What did you guys think? Who's the scariest villain we've had yet looks wise?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'd agree that he's the scariest because all the other ones have been not superhuman, but really they just look like normal people that could do stuff. Yeah,
or even like Tony, he can transform, but as a normal person, he just looks like a normal dude.
Yeah.
This guy just looked like, oh my God, don't mess with him. He has some crazy makeup on or just hasn't slept in 14 years.
I felt like he was like a sociopath in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like had no feelings or emotions whatsoever. And some of them I feel like you could maybe break into them and kind of get their like, you know, their real intentions or their weaknesses, but he's just like a psycho, ferocious animal.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of which, some of them you feel like you could break into. I have to say something.
Yes.
You guys know I've got that smug look, so I'm about to say something.
Yeah.
So when we were last week talking about Tony, and I said that I liked him and I could see like why he was good, and you guys said that I just see the best in people, that he was awful.
Yeah.
Okay, I liked him again tonight. There was a moment with him and Barry. Come on, you had to see the love. Barry like wanted to save him, was like, no, Tony, and it was like a West Side Story moment.
It was a little bit.
Oh my gosh. So Wells, who we're kind of on the fence with, having issues with all episode, it's like what's going on, lets out Tony so that Tony can distract Farouk and make it. I don't even really get what he was trying to. He was just trying to get the two of them to kill each other. He said he was buying time, but who knows what he's actually doing. Number one, that's messed up. Number two, when Barry finds out and Tony dies, Barry is really sad because nobody wants their high school bully to actually die. You just want to see them behind bars a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
What's wrong with that?
So true.
Yeah, because then you feel, I'm sure that Barry kind of felt guilty. He was like, wow, I took this guy out, I put him in the pipeline, and now he's dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of me. And it's not really because of him, it's because of Wells. And Wells really didn't care.
No.
Wells was like, sorry, Barry, if I have to choose between him and us, I choose us. What do you guys think about that? Do you agree with Wells? It was the right move? Do you think it was selfish? Do you think, what are you guys thinking about him?
I'm so baffled by Wells.
I know.
I just
keep asking so many questions about him because I think that the more we talk about it, maybe we'll figure something out.
Maybe. Gosh, I there's definitely a reason behind every single thing that Wells does. I think the only times we'll ever see him being a little bit confused or just, like we saw when he was talking to Gideon, just, asking the same question over and over again, is like, those are the moments where he can let out his vulnerabilities and be a little bit confused or whatever. Otherwise, all we do is see him do these crazy things that we just assume make sense in the end for him.
Right.
I agree. I thought that it was a really sentimental moment, though, when Farouk finally Wells does come out, Farouk looks at him and says, like, you don't care about the people, and he says, and just starts naming names and says, I know every single person that I killed. I know every single person. And I was like, oh, wow, so you do have feelings. By the way, at least half of the people on his list are metahumans, or people in the DCU. So that's going to be really... Remember, Elongated Man was on there. There was a lot of different cool ones.
There's Amazing Man, Atom Smasher, Hero, Nature, Fire, Damage, Jade, and then Atom Smasher, and obviously Ronnie.
And Ronnie Firestorm. So, and we know he's coming, so that was a little nod to that. I thought that was really cool, and it made me think about Wells as a person again. Like, oh wow, he really, really does know that. Was that a poignant moment for you guys, or were you just like, whatever, he's doing this just to get some sympathy?
No, I mean, I believed him, and I believe that he is ultimately doing what he believes is the best course of action. It's like Barry was saying, like, he's a chest guy, like chess with no T. He's a chess guy.
He's also kind of a chest guy, but both.
Well,
he's a chess guy.
Yeah. So I mean, for him, everything is a calculated move, which doesn't always take into account the human factor. But I think that deep down, he really cares about like the people that he affects.
I agree. Can we pause for a second, because I think that I see a little Superman poking through.
I know. Look
Is
at
that what's going on?
Woo!
Wait, oh my gosh.
Why would you cover that?
Do you think he's actually Superman?
Hey guys, don't go blowing my secret identity.
Wait, you have to show everybody.
It.
He's Superman. I love the undershirt.
Well, I just want to say
enough.
my Wonder Woman nightgown came in.
Nice.
Like, it's really cool. It's more like a dress, but they said it's a nightgown, but I'm not sleeping in it. I'm going to wear it.
I'm sorry, did we not get our leggings this week with that
Can we wear them tomorrow night?
Oh, we got to wear them.
Okay, wait till you guys see our leggings tomorrow. Thank you so much, Andrew
We're
Lee.
I know, Andrew Lee's best. We're getting all superhero stuff. It's so
amazing.
exciting.
I'm so excited. I just wanted to mention one thing.
Yes.
Forgive me, I don't remember where I was reading this. I did a lot of research on some of these names.
Shocker,
but someone
you with your binder did research? Never would have guessed.
Gideon.
We love you. Yeah.
My Jewish friend over here. Is it true that Gideon in the Hebrew Bible was the judge of the Israelites? Because I know it's also in Catholicism, it was the name Gideon was also, but it was something with.
I'm gonna get shot by somebody because I don't know if I know the answer, but I thought that Gideon was the one with the hair or is that who?
Lazarus?
Are you thinking of Samson?
Samson.
Yeah.
Samson's exactly
Okay.
what I'm thinking of.
I want to find out more about Gideon, the name Gideon, because I think it's going to help us understand.
I have a cousin named Gideon.
Well, there's a thing where
I do. It's a Jew thing.
Hey.
Just talking to your cousin. Gideon is the backstory is super duper complicated, but he's what is known as like a new god. In
what world are you talking right
now?
In
DC universe.
Okay, so we're out of the Bible and we're into our personal Bible.
Okay.
Yes.
DCU. Okay.
DCU. Gideon is essentially a person. Like, there are two planets. There's Apocalypse and then the home of the new god.
This is amazing.
And so Gideon in DCU is one of the new gods, which I was reading somewhere that there's also a new god that hangs out in a chair all the time called Metron, which people are theorizing that could be who Wells is.
That he's a new god?
Yes.
But then why would he be in human form? Because he can do that?
Well, they look like people.
Oh, maybe he lost his
Gideon
powers.
doesn't look like people.
Maybe he lost his powers.
That's true.
He's been
Like he
struck
was a
down,
god,
but yeah.
but he is.
We have so many theories. Wait, we want to hear your guys' theories, though. That's most
please.
important. What are your theories? Keep going.
Oh, well,
yours is
Metron
also
at one
important.
point did disguise himself as a guy in a wheelchair.
No.
Yes.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Why didn't you tell us this?
I was.
He is.
Oh, sorry.
You hold out the goods.
God, you really do.
I gotta wait for it to be suspenseful.
Okay.
Okay.
So what does that mean? So he was disguised himself in a wheelchair at some point. What is he capable of?
Well, he's a time traveler, and he, kind of just goes around and does stuff. He doesn't like to meddle with time, but every so often he'll kind of jump in.
Anything? Is this in the Flashpoint paradox? Because I know that was all about time travel, and that was referenced a lot in last week's episode / the one we're talking about tonight.
I hope you guys love how nerdy we're getting on here. It's so good.
But was he part of that? Because you mentioned time travel, and I know that was a huge part of it.
Well, time travel's in a lot of Flash.
Yeah.
Right, but I think that what they were saying tonight is because Barry right now doesn't do time travel, but
he can't yet. He's not fast enough.
Right. But I think that's obviously we know that's what he's working toward, or what they're having him work toward, and I think that's maybe a reason.
I know that the paradox reference specifically, especially in the newspaper that we see, is because since Barry's never. I'm going to spoiler alert this.
Spoiler alert.
So since Barry isn't there to disappear.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert!
Thank you, Marissa.
Spoiler alert!
So since Barry isn't there to disappear in the Flashpoint paradox, basically you see in the newspaper that like the red skies are still threatening. So that's still a thing, as opposed to like when we first see it in the first episode where it's like red skies are clearing. Flash disappears. Because essentially at some point when he disappears, he becomes the lightning that creates the Flash.
Right.
So if Wells is trying to make everything happen as it's supposed to, he's trying to make Barry end up at that one place so that he can disappear and become Barry.
Huh. God. Wow. Wait, speaking about the newspaper for a second, and while we're getting nerdy, so I'll just be on this.
I have a picture of it as well if you want to read it.
Yeah, well, it changes every time, but what's interesting to me is that they put an actual April 25th, 2024 is the date on there. And I was watching with my brother, who's like you, who's just unbelievable with this stuff. Shout out to Jet Striar. And he was telling me, because I said, I think it's weird that they put a date because... Are we gonna have to wait until that point? And he was like, well, it could always change. You just saw the future's always changing. That could be pushed up by 10 years. It could be pushed down, like whatever it is. So I was zooming in on all the parts of the newspaper. On the left, on the bottom left, we've got that thing, something about, it's a shout out to Wayne. So
okay, that's what I was just pointing to right
obviously,
now.
we've got a Batman reference.
Right.
On the right, we've got the red skies, and above, we've got about the Flash. So every time, I think that this newspaper is going to be more important than we even give it credit for. Yeah, exactly. More important than we are even giving it credit for. And every time it comes on the screen, I think every person should pause and read and see where we're at with things because it's always changing and it makes for a different future.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've given you all of our newspaper madness, let's move on a little bit to talking about something that I think you guys might be a little mad at me for, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Let me say, you love the Clock King.
Oh,
you think he has a huge heart?
Yet.
Oh, okay.
I'll be there. I'll be there. And I actually
Clock
love the Clock King. I love him, but I'm not there. I love how Caitlin loves Barry.
You loved something. I was halfway there.
You were. I love, because you know my love face. It like looks like a sick puppy.
I know.
Love.
Yep.
I love that Caitlin loves Barry, and she's trying to help. And Cisco and Wells they have all different motives all the time, you know. And I'm always like, I don't know if you're looking out for his best interest. Caitlin is looking out for his best interest always. With the tonight with the when he has to go on, what's that thing? A treadmill?
Yeah.
I'm like,
what's that thing you run
on that I never go to? Right, the treadmill. When he has to run on the treadmill and she like won't flip the switch, and they have that moment, and she says that she believes he's the one, what like was chosen. And they had a couple moments tonight, and I'm like, is this an Oliver Felicity kind of thing? I don't know. I know we're supposed to want him with Iris the same way that we were supposed to want Oliver, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel sparks here. And I know that Firestorm's coming back, so I'm torn. But is anybody else feeling sparks?
I could see it. I mean, they definitely have a connection. And what she has over Iris is that she knows who he is. And she's been with him through all the, like, turmoil and trouble. So they have a deeper connection than I feel like. Iris is more of a crush. She is more of a romantic interest.
Okay.
Friends.
All right.
Friends forever. BFFLs. That's all.
So just to wrap up our big bad portion of the week, Farouk ends up dying because Barry goes.
Do we really know he's dead?
Well, we see him in the body bag, and we see Wells take his blood. He has this really creepy line like, "You stole the Flash's powers, and I want to know how you did that," and takes the blood. Meanwhile, I don't think
he's dead.
I don't know. I think that he's dead because he's in the body bag, but I'm not sure. But what we see is that the Mist is actually watching. And he turns over to him when he's in the pipeline and goes, shh. And now, I don't know. I'm thinking, as I said, I think some sort of army is starting. Who is down there anymore in their prison? Because Tony's not there anymore.
I think it's just the Mist at this
chilling
point.
by himself?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think he's dead. I have a feeling that, like we saw with the newspaper and with I'm not with the newspaper.
But you don't think Tony's dead or Farouk's dead?
I don't think Farouk's dead. Because just like we saw with Wells keeping track of every little moment, I think he's studying every single thing, including, I think he put him in the body bag to make everybody else think that he's dead, and really he's going to go take him somewhere and study the crap out of him, and he's really alive.
Okay.
But he hasn't been like a coma or something.
What about the moment, guys, that Barry saved Wells' life? That was the thing that got him to get his powers back. I mean, there was a lot of other things that happened before that, but that was the reason he was able to unleash it again. Is Barry, and then they had their kind of reconciliation moment at the end where he goes back and he's running faster than ever and he's really working for him. Do you think Barry's really starting to trust Wells? Because early in the episode, he's like hating on him, and then towards the end, I felt like Wells really has gained Barry's trust, which is scary.
I think he has. I think he trusts him 100%. I think Barry's still very young and still so like, it's like winning the lottery all of a sudden. Like you went from being poor to being super wealthy, and like you don't know who to trust because you're just like, okay, who wants me for my money and who wants me for this? And I think, he gained all these powers so quickly that you're skeptical of everybody at first. But now he's getting more comfortable with it, and I think the fact that Wells helped him gain his powers back, it just proves to him, hi, like I'm on your team, just in case you were wondering.
Or I don't know if he's on Barry's team, but he's certainly on the Flash's team.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Which sometimes is different. You know what I mean? Which is tough, especially when what's good for Barry is not necessarily what's good for the Flash, and vice versa. Okay, on the other side of the fence, so we did have the whole Farouk Blackout situation, but we also had Clock King come on tonight. So Clock King was actually on Arrow. Season 2, I think.
Robert Neppert.
Who's unbelievable. And I think that this is so funny because he was one of the leads on Prison Break. We also know that Dominic is coming back, was one of the leads on Prison Break, as well as Wentworth Miller, who was one of the leads on Prison Break. Hysterical. I mean, we have to ask you, David Rappaport, was Prison Break your favorite show? I agree with you if it was, because these actors are amazing. And Ash, that's why I laughed when you asked me if I was going to say I love Clock King, because I thought, he's so talented.
Yeah.
That, yes, I love Clock King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did an amazing job.
He did an amazing job. He is creepy beyond creepy.
Well, did you watch Prison Break? Because I had never watched it. Okay, what was his, what was the difference between, and he was also in Arrow, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's in an episode of Arrow or a couple, I think it was just one episode, maybe a couple.
What did you think of his acting on Arrow versus this? Was there any difference? Because I've read a lot of different reviews from people about his...
Well, here's the deal with him on Prison Break. Tari, did you watch Prison Break at all?
I did not.
He was a sociopath. Like, crazier than Clock King, like really, but because just human, would like stab you in the back, crazy. And he was a regular, so we got to know him really well.
Right.
Like would chop people and crazy.
Okay.
So when I saw him on the show, and when he came on Arrow, I was like, oh, if he's gonna be a hero, we're gonna have a problem, because I think he.
How do you cross over? To
right.
That, right.
But what I loved was the subtle differences. Like this was more comic book crazy. That was more like, I know people like you that would actually shoot me in my sleep. This was more like, and there were little bits that you were like, oh, wow, I guess you didn't kill him. You just shot him. So do you have some good in you? Oh, no, I did it again.
Yeah, right. She did.
I
predicted it.
He's very talented. He did a great job in both. I understand why he got this job. He's been in other things too, but based off that, he's a great fit for it.
Yeah.
And tonight, when he first sees Barry, which there wasn't much crossover between the Barry Scooby Gang and the Iris and the Wests of the worlds tonight. We did see one Joe and Barry scene, but really there wasn't that much crossover because they were each fighting their own big bad.
Yeah.
And when Barry didn't have his speedy powers, he couldn't go back and forth between the big bads. So I did like the moment though where Barry, he's like, "Nice watch," and I'm Barry or whatever.
Yeah.
Took all mine.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you probably did something bad."
Yeah, you creepy dude. So it was cool that they brought him over from Arrow. It just is further proving CW really has this world down, and they are doing the crossover. We'll talk more about that in news and gossip, but I think that they're doing a great job showing that. If they brought him on this and he was a different character, people would have been like,
yeah, it would have been so weird.
It would have been so weird. So that was really cool. What did you guys think about how Joe and Iris got to fight Clock King? So Clock King flips everything on a dime on these people. Everything's black, and he starts controlling everybody and has the gun and completely has all of the control. Eddie's kind of hiding in the corner until he goes to shoot him, and as my brother and I scream watching the TV, "Why don't you shoot him in the head?"
Right?
Like, what are you doing? Why don't you shoot him in the head? Why are you going to shoot him where he can live? Idiot. No. Which makes me think, though, because, we're also curious. I know it's more focused on Wells, but we're also curious about Eddie. What are you guys thinking about Eddie? He clearly didn't shoot. He didn't have the best shot. Was that on purpose? What team is he on? Does he not have his powers yet?
I think he's just a regular guy. Like, I think his name. Yeah, I think his name is like a reference or more of a nod than an actual foreshadowing.
Okay. Ash, what are you thinking about Eddie? Do you think that he just has his powers, but they haven't been accessed yet, or do you think that he's just a normal guy?
I used to think a lot more that he did have powers, but I just, at this point, I feel like he may not be aware of it yet because he's just so regular. I mean, there's nothing. He's like, he's just a regular civilian as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing about him that makes me think anything. I mean, he won't even. I don't even know how Iris even finds him remotely attractive. I just don't see, not physically, but just like there's nothing about him that screams anything. Like he's not gonna go like run through fire for his girlfriend, or he's not gonna go and just go save somebody. He's just so regular, and it just and it could also be because in comparison to all of these people he's around, he's pretty boring. But as of right now, he either has powers and he's not aware of it, or he's just regular, old,
Yeah, here's the crazy part about him, though, and about this show. Even if we were on season 7, I'm still going to be, and he was still regular Joe Schmo, I'm still going to be asking the same question because of his name.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they did that on purpose.
Of course they did.
They're trying to mess with us. And we're going to stand for it because we love it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what his deal is. I know that he didn't have the best shot and that he instead got shot himself. All right. Then Joe really saves the day because he's got this genius idea. By the way, Joe, very smart with all of his... he knew all the time references that was going on.
I loved their banter.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And he really saved the day. And he knew, I'm sure he knew when he said, "You're not going to let her say goodbye," that he was what is it called? Packing heat? What is it?
Packing heat.
What does it mean when you have a gun on you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have
holding.
guns on me very often.
He's holding. Oh, I don't even know what to call what I just did, but that was a bummer.
It's okay. I don't even know I don't know the truth.
He's
I don't
packing
know.
heat. But I'm sure he knew he had an ankle holster on and that he had a gun, so he got Iris to go over there. Thankfully, Eddie figured out what he was doing. Iris seemed to care a little bit that he was shot, but she was kind of like, I feel like she would have cared more if it was the Flash dying in front of her,
Right.
to be perfectly honest. But the one bummer about this part for me is I'm still a little confused, and maybe I missed something in the twice that I watched it. I'm still a little confused with what's going on with Clock King, because we hear the gunshot. We know that she's okay and she's with her dad. I'm assuming that she didn't kill him.
No.
So he gets taken away. Like, he's just going to go to prison then?
Assume so. Like,
Iron Heights?
He had a band around his leg.
Right.
So I'm assuming, like, he got shot in the leg, and so they're just going to throw him back in prison.
Okay, so that's what we're going to assume.
Yeah.
All right. That makes me nervous. I feel like when you put... I'm scared for Barry's dad. He's in there with all these bad guys, and he's not a metahuman, Clock King, so we can't put him in. We can't put him in under. Right. So instead, obviously, and nobody even knows the pipeline exists except for the Scooby Gang.
Right.
So we got to put him in Iron Heights, and poor Mr. Allen. He's just in there with some really bad dudes.
Yep.
And if Barry ever wants to break the entire prison out, all of these people are going to come out. Clock King, and he has a way of returning. He returned from being off Arrow.
Time and time, wait for no man.
Nice.
You are so smart.
I'm just, I don't know.
What are your guys' favorite clock time quotes? Let us know.
Yeah.
See, I'm throwing so many things to you guys just because I love when you guys comment about things. So I just think that I'll start asking you guys random questions and hopefully you'll respond.
Love it, though. They're geniuses that live in this world and hang out on YouTube, I'll tell you.
I know. I love
and
that.
we know them.
They're our friends.
It makes us smarter.
It's the best. Okay, so what's interesting is that people are giving Iris the credit on this one for doing the takedown. I kind of feel like Joe was the mastermind of the situation. If you guys had to pin it on one person, who really took down Clock King tonight? Was it Eddie, was it Joe, or was it Iris?
I want to believe it was Iris. I love anything that,
woman
promotes
power.
Woman power. Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, what'd she say? Sometimes a girl just has to save herself. I was like, I just wanted her to go like, yeah. Just like do some type of like
freeze
power.
frame.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was brave.
But
it was brave.
I think also she's quick to assume that she wants so badly. She's very tough. We know that. She wants so badly to have a name for herself that she can't be messed with, and she was
showing off a little bit for the Flash.
was.
Like you're not the only one who can save the day, kind of thing.
Exactly. And we saw some showing off too, and I wanted to bring that up because I mentioned that a few weeks ago that in League of, what is it? I can't forget the name.
League?
Why am I forgetting the name tonight? That's the third
Justice
time.
League.
The Justice League. I call it the cartoon that I watched. The Justice League. I had mentioned that the Flash in there, who is, I believe it is Barry, he's he shows off, he's Wally. Yeah. But he shows off a lot. The Flash in the cartoon, and like tonight, like I know you already mentioned it, but like he does show off a lot. Well, it was interesting to see that.
What I'm really loving about this is the fact that Barry and Flash are so different. Like Flash feels so much more comfortable in what he's saying. You know, he's like, you deserve to be summoned to be on time. Yeah. Barry would never say that kind of thing. So I do like that. It's the same way that anybody who's ever played Superman, like I love Christopher Reeves because it's like he's so different as Clark and as Superman. I love when you can really, really tell the difference between their superhero self and their actual self.
Yeah.
And it makes you think if we all had that ability to have just something else that we could kind of shield ourselves, how would we be? Would we be a little more confident? Would we be evil? Would we be extra nice? Who knows, you know? What would we say? What would we do?
Exactly, because the particle accelerator didn't actually do anything to his personality. He's just feeling more confident because he's got this special skill. So that's really cool to see. And I love the flirtation going on there. I know I said that I like it with Caitlin too. I'm just somebody who likes to root for couples. So, you know, this is a CW show. I'm allowed to talk about relationships. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then everybody is fine after the night, and except for Eddie is a little on drugs, to say the least. Yeah. And, you know, he's kind of loopy and out of it. And Barry goes to the hospital to visit. And he does something in front of Eddie that if Eddie wasn't on drugs, would have showed who he was. Which made me think it was a little silly because we saw him at the beginning of the episode tonight being a little reckless. And the whole message was that he's no longer reckless. And I was like, that's a little bit of a close call. Like, I think you still are a little reckless. I think you probably still would go get everybody's coffee, but at least you're learning that only do those things when people are on drugs around you. What a great lesson.
I'm hoping it comes back to bite him because he's been doing a lot of stuff like that. And this isn't Eddie's first time.
You're rooting against our hero.
I'm not rooting against our hero. I'm rooting for drama, I guess. Because,
amen. I'm on that page.
Yep.
That's what I'm all about. But like, because Eddie's been seeing little hints of metahumans here and there, so I want him to be more intrigued and like try to dive into it.
Okay, I definitely could see that. I think that if he's not careful, you know, I think about Man of Steel and how his dad so badly didn't want anybody to know he was Superman and like died because of that. And I think about this and I'm like, all right, is it going to really be that bad if people know that you're the Flash? Maybe it will get you all the ladies.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, not that he can handle any more ladies.
Superman.
Yes. Give it to me, Ash.
Well, this is a question for you, Tauri. Just curious, and obviously Roxy, if you know as well. But we tend to look this way when we have some intellectually challenging questions. So Barry's energy, it's stored similar to how Superman's powers are stored?
Right.
Okay.
Sort of. All right. So Superman.
Are we nerding out again?
You mentioned Superman, so I have to just ask this. I have a question for him that I put down.
We need to make a soundbite. Nerd alert. Nerd alert. We need that. It's good. I love it.
It would be going off every 5 seconds.
Perfect.
So Superman's cells are stored from the sun. Like he gets his energy from the yellow sunlight, whereas Barry, as a speedster, taps into this thing that's called the Speed Force, which I feel like they're trying to kind of point us towards now, as they're showing that, like, you know, once he wasn't thinking about his powers, he was able to just let them flow through him. So it's him tapping into the Speed Force, which is an external force, but an internal force. So it's like the force.
Okay.
And so that's the main difference. Like, he can just channel it being a speedster, which I think he also becomes it at some point.
Okay. And Barry's, does he store it in his cells?
Huh?
Does he store any of it in his cells?
Major nerd alert. Yeah. Okay, all right, guys.
Yeah.
We'll talk more after.
Stored in his body.
We will discuss more after. We will have Professor Tauri tell us more.
Professor Tauri.
I love it. Professor Tauri. That's the new one.
That's what we have to call you.
Amazing. Okay, so we covered the episode. Let's get to a little bit of news and gossip. There is more that we have saved.
AfterBuzz TV News.
There's more that we've definitely saved for tomorrow's night's episode, but I just thought this was a really cool Instagram that I'm going to have Marissa pull up. And it's from somebody that we've only seen once so far. We know he's coming back, from Robbie Amell, who's playing Ronnie. And this is it. If you guys are looking right now, it's a picture of him and the other half of the Flash, and it says the whole... other half Firestorm, the whole hashtag Firestorm, which is interesting because we've heard a lot of different things. There was like a third person cast as Firestorm at one point, and then they weren't, and there was like some weird things around it. So this is the whole Firestorm. We know that it's going to be him and Garber. We know that we're excited to see Alias come onto the Flash.
Slash the Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. Slash Legally Blonde, if I
yes.
feel like totally.
Yes.
So this is really cool, and I love watching it. It looks like our character Ronnie is getting his hands a little more dirty. He looks like he's been burnt a little bit. So we wonder how we're going to do this. Are they going to be one body, two voices, two bodies, one, like how these two merged? I guess we will see. Mm-hmm. The other news and gossip that we will talk about, which isn't really news and gossip, but it's news and gossip for our show, is that we have the crossover coming up, which is tomorrow and Wednesday. We will be covering the first half of it here on tomorrow, and the second half will be covered on the Arrow after show on Wednesday. I'm actually going to go on to the Arrow panel and represent our team over there. We're going to have one of us. We're going to have one of them come and represent their team and sit on the couch and talk to us about different specialty Arrow things. So we're really excited. That is our news and gossip for AfterBuzz TV.
Awesome.
Nice.
Let's get to some predictions.
Yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, guys, so this is a very hard week to predict for because we have not one but 2 weeks. Here's my big thing. You guys can chime in after. We know that Barry and Oliver have differences. We know they deal with things differently. I think that people keep tweeting, who's going to win? Is it metahuman versus experience? I don't think there's going to be a winner. I don't think it's like one of them's going to end up dead. I think it's going to somehow be they both need each other in order to take out a different big bad. Right. What are you guys thinking?
Well, I know that the Rogues take a front seat in this episode, or in the crossover episode.
So that would be our Prison Break stars?
Yes.
Okay. So we got Captain Cold and
Heatwave. And then Captain Boomerang.
Oh, yeah.
All the captains.
Right, which is interesting because we just saw Boomerang at the end of the last Arrow episode. Right. Made an appearance. So I mean, and from what I've seen, it seems like Arrow is going to be kind of teaching him how to fight, because Barry, as darling as he is, he does not know how to throw a punch. Very true, but Arrow's willing to kill, and Barry is not. So there's some things Barry might be able to teach Arrow.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, and also I'm wondering if there's going to be part of the episode where we're doing Prison Break, trying to get clocking out. That was a joke. No Prison Break. Ash, what are you thinking for predictions?
It's a good joke, Rox.
Oh, thanks. Nobody laughed, and I just felt really self-conscious, so I chuckled.
So all your jokes are extra funny now.
You're so sweet. I know you're lying and full of crap, but you're so sweet.
Actually, no, I really did miss you. Okay.
I missed you. I love you.
Prediction. For me, I don't know why, but I think Farouk's alive. I just feel like you wouldn't risk just having him in a body bag if he's dead.
Okay.
So I think he's alive.
And as for the crossover.
Okay, if we're going to do for the crossover,
if people are saying Flash versus Arrow, if they actually got into a fight, who do you think would win? Experience or actual power?
I'm going to say at this point it's going to be the Flash. I think he's going to surprise us all. Mm-hmm. I think we are underestimating his power to fight and to kill if he has to.
Okay.
If it's necessary for the greater good.
Do we think we have any time in the 2-hour crossover for there to be love lines? Like, are we going to address the Flash and Felicity, or are we not? We know on Arrow right now Felicity just kissed her boss, who actually played Superman.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stuff going on in her love life. Is there going to be any sort of Barry moment, or did we get our moment and we are done with it?
I think it's still gonna go on with the Flash and Iris
Oh,
flirting,
okay.
and I still think Barry is still gonna be crushing when he is Barry, and she's not gonna catch on at all. I think that's gonna happen later. I think they're really gonna stretch this out as much as possible. But I think Felicity or Caitlin, somebody might step in and make Iris feel a little bit like, wow, like Barry sees like someone else, and for some reason now it's kind of, because she did initially not really care, that she kind of wanted Barry to date, but I'm feeling now like it might bother her a little bit.
You don't know what you have till it's gone. It's the same thing that's going on with Oliver right now. Now he's seeing Felicity with somebody else, and he's thinking like that. So maybe Iris will see.
It's human nature.
Yep. I'm really, really excited for this crossover. Tari, did you have some? I feel like you're...
Oh, I actually just feel like it's gonna be all like sitcom-y shenanigans. Like it's like at some point,
Like,
pretty much it's gonna be like, oh, you kissed Felicity, I'm mad at you, Barry. Boo.
Yeah, right.
That's what.
Can we do that one more time?
Boo.
Can we slow that?
And we've gone from Professor Tari to boo.
That's brute.
He's
Tari.
a man of many personalities.
That's true. Maybe he's a meta-human. He's got two sides.
Well, he's got the preppy side and then the super.
Yeah, it's true.
powers.
It's true. Okay, guys. So thank you so much for talking with me tonight. If they want to keep talking to you, where can they keep the conversation going? Starting with Ashley.
At Ashley Daniels on Twitter and Miss Ashley Daniels on Instagram. And I don't know what this is. It's the Hokey Pokey.
It's awesome. You can catch me on Twitter at TauriJ. That's TaurijAY.
And keep talking to Jeff, because I know he wants to hear what you guys say. He tweets from at JeffMasters1. You can find me at Roxy Striar. You can find us at AfterBuzz TV, AfterBuzzTV.com. Make sure you go to iTunes and YouTube. If you're on one, go to the other. If you're on the other, go to that. And rate, comment, subscribe. We love hearing what you have to say. Tweet at us, please, please, please. Until tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
I love you. Tomorrow. You're all.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.